Hello students, today we will discuss our new topic which is biopesticides. So before starting with biopesticides, we should know about what exactly the pesticides are. Pesticides we can say are certain chemicals which are used to kill pests or to protect our crops from certain types of pests are known as pesticides. But if we are using some biological agents as pesticides, then they are known as biopesticides. So biopesticides are certain type of pesticides derived from natural materials such as animal, plants, bacteria and certain minerals. All the living organisms which are cultivated in laboratory on large scale are used and exploited experimentally for the control of harmful organisms. These harmful organisms could be insects, pests, rodents, etc. They do a lot of harms to our crops which we cultivate, and there's also the economical loss to the farmers. Biopesticides is a formulation made from naturally occurring substances that control pests by non-toxic mechanism and eco-friendly manner. As we can say, when we use a pesticide to control a pest, it also enters the crop and it may have some indirect or direct effects on the health of the human beings, and it is also not eco-friendly, that it can affect the other pests which are good to the you can say the crops, and are not eco-friendly or environmental friendly, but the biopesticides are used in eco-friendly manner. So let's share some history of biopesticides. In early 17th century, plant extracts were likely the earliest agricultural biopesticides. So the plant extracts were isolated and used as agricultural biopesticides. In 19th century, with mineral oils as plant products were also reported. Later on, the number of studies and proposal of biopesticides were developed. The first and the still most widely used biopesticide included the spores of bacteria, which is Bacillus thuringiensis, or we can say in a short form BT. In the later half of the 20th century, research and development continued at low level because of the widespread adoption of chemical insecticide, as they have some faster effects, easily available, and we can use in a short period of time. In the end of 2008, there were approximately 2045 registered biopesticide active ingredient used products. So there are different types of biopesticides. If we classify them, there are mainly three types of biopesticide. First one is microbial biopesticides, plant biopesticides, and biochemical pesticides. So this figure is showing the classification. So this one is chemical pesticides, examples organophosphates, carbamates, pyrethroids, and sulfonyls. Then these are the classes of biopesticides, which means bacterial, fungal, viral, protozoan, and biochemical, genetically modified plant produced insecticidal protein themselves, and PIPs or plant incorporated pesticides, which are naturally occurring substances to control pests, for example insect sex hormones, or we can say pheromones, that interfere with their mating. So first of all, we should know what are the microbial biopesticides. This category consists of microorganism, which could be a bacteria, fungus, virus, or protozoa, as the active ingredient. Microbial pesticides can control many different kind of pests, although each active ingredient is relatively specific for its target pest. Like the ingredient is target specific, a particular species or a particular pest is specific to that particular pesticide. For example, there are fungi that control certain weeds and other fungi that kill specific insects. So one fungus is killing the weed and another fungus is specific to that particular insect only, not that weed. So in case of microbial pesticide, as I earlier told you, it could be a bacteria, a virus, a fungus, a protozoa, or a nematode also. So let's take an example, which is Bacillus thuringiensis, which is the most commonly used biopesticide. It is a gram-positive and soil-dwelling bacterium and is commonly used as biological pesticide. So the mechanism is as when it is ingested by the pest larval stage, BT releases BT toxins, which damage the midgut of the pest, eventually killing it. Like this toxin when ingested by the larva, gets into the gut of the pest and it releases some toxins, and eventually the larva is killed. The main source for the production of BT preparations are strains of the subspecies, as the main species which are producing this BT are Kustarsky, Gallery, and Dendrolomis. This one is the most commonly used BT biopesticide, which is DPLDF, and it is obtained from the strain Kustarsky. The brand name is DPLDF, and the active ingredients are Bacillus thuringiensis Kustarsky. Application: it is applied in the form of a suspension or is sprayed. The target pests are loopers, leaf-eating caterpillars, food borers, and other Lepidopterous pests, as BT is mainly targeting Lepidopterans. The crops which are affected are vegetables, forage crops, aromatic crops, and ornamental crops also. Another important organisms which are used as biopesticides are Baculoviruses. These viruses are target specific, which can infect and destroy wide variety of plant pests. Viruses are the most dangerous and most, you can say, difficult to identify, and it's quite difficult to protect the plant from viruses. So when we are using the viruses as biopesticides, so we have to be quite specific and be quite concentrated on which plant species we are targeting. So these baculoviruses are target specific. They infect particular type of plant pests, not all the plants. They are most effective against Lepidopterans pests of cotton, rice, and vegetables. Their large scale production is quite difficult because you can't grow or you can't cultivate viruses on a larger scale. So their use has been restricted to small areas. They are used when they are utmost required. In India, they are not commercially available but are being produced on small scale by various IPM centers. IPM means Integrated Pest Management Centers and state agricultural departments. So you can't go to a shop or you can say I want a baculovirus biopesticides. They are produced on small scale and in specific laboratories only. Then Trichoderma which is a fungus, is also used as a biopesticide, which is free living and common in soil and root system of the plants. It is highly interactive in root, soil, and foliar environment. The mode of action could be it suppresses the pathogen by different mechanism of biocontrol. It is particularly relevant for dry land crops like groundnut, black gram, green gram, and chickpea, and which are susceptible to these diseases. So when a plant is growing in dry conditions, you have to protect it from certain pests. So then we can use Trichoderma. The preparation of Trichoderma biopesticide is cheap and require only basic knowledge of microbiology. Like in case of baculoviruses, when we use specialized laboratory conditions and you can't get it commercially and you can't grow the viruses, but that's not the case of Trichoderma. In case of Trichoderma, if you know the simple microbiology knowledge, you can grow it, cultivate it, and use it as a biopesticide. Another important category is plant biopesticides. These are pesticidal substances which are obtained from plant extracts, or you can say certain type of plant materials. These are biopesticidal substances that plant produce from genetic material that has been added to the plant. Like a researcher can take a gene from Bt pesticidal protein and introduce the gene into the plant's own genetic material. Then the plant, instead of the Bt bacteria, manufactures a substance that destroys the pest. Both the protein and its genetic material are regulated by the EPA, and the plant itself is not regulated. In short, we can say in case of these plant biopesticides, they are genetically modified plants or the particular gene for the protection against a particular insect is identified, inserted into the plant. And now when the gene is inserted into the genome of the plant started synthesizing the protein required, the protein of that particular gene, and that particular gene protein helps in protecting the plant from that particular insects. So these are certain types of common plant materials or parts which are used in plant biopesticides. The common name is castor, the scientific name is Ricinus communis, and the plant parts used are leaves and oil, and the active principle is ricin and ricining. Onion, allium cepa, bulb part is used, and oleic acid, cypocodid, alpha-aceron, beta-aceron are used. Custard apple, Annona sycomosa, leaves and bark are used, and Annonin sycomosin are used in active principle. Now, another important category is biochemical biopesticides. They are naturally occurring substances that control pest by non-toxic mechanisms. So they are non-toxic, not toxic as the BT, and they protect the plants. Conventional biopesticides, by contrast, are generally synthetic materials that directly kill or inactivate the pest. Biochemical pesticides include substances such as insect sex pheromones that interfere with the mating, as well as various scented plant extracts that attract insect to pest or traps. Simply, if a particular chemical is applied to a plant which inhibits the insects in their mating process, the population of that insect is not increased, and ultimately the population is decreased and it will be eliminated. If there are certain types of repellents, like you can see a simple example you can take of mosquito. If the neem extracts are used and it can be applied on the skin of the human being also, the mosquitoes are repelled. So certain extracts are used in plants also. The foul smell affects the insects and they are not able to attack the particular plant, or they are trapped in that particular smell. This is the mode, this picture is showing the mode of action of BT. So you can say, if this is the plant, the crystalline spores are ingested by the insect larva. First of all, insect larva, toxins are activated to form active form in gut enzymes, and it is release activated toxin binds to receptor, subsequently inserted into the membrane and causes leakage of ions and small molecules, and mid-gut membrane damage leads to starvation or septicemia. This whole chart is showing how the crystal proteins are formed and ingested by the microorganisms and how it causes the death. Let's come to the biopesticides are often very effective in very small quantities and often decompose quickly, thereby resulting in lower exposures and largely avoiding the pollution problems caused by conventional pesticides. When used as component of IPM programs, biopesticides can greatly decrease the use of conventional pesticides while crop yields remain high. To use biopesticides effectively, however, users need to know great deal about managing pests. They are cheap, renewable, and can be handled safely. It is difficult for insects to develop resistance to these pesticides. So there are some disadvantages also. They are slow in effect. They lack stability and wide spectrum activity. They are rapidly degraded by UV light, so residual action is quite low. Seasonal availability of plants produced indicates the need for storage. They are not easily available. You have to cultivate them, and it is a quite tedious task. Poor water solubility and generally not systematic in nature. All products applied followed by growers have not been scientifically verified. Thank you so much, student, for your kind attention. We'll have some new lectures also. Thank you so much.